All right, let's have a conversation now again about the consequences of what's been happening in Iran. Israel, as we speak, trying to move even further towards regime change, among other things, blowing the doors off a notorious prison where many political prisoners in Iran have been held. They're also trying to knock out many other things to do with the infrastructure of the mullahs, the people in charge of the Iranian government, the Iranian regime. And of course, there are 90 million people who live in Iran, the majority of which clearly would like to be living under a different form of a government. Yaron Brook joins us now. He is an author, a YouTuber, and is with the Ayn Rand Institute, and he joins us now. Yaron, today seems to be a bit of a step where we're seeing that Israel is now openly talking about attacking things to do with the regime, literally in the past 2 hours blowing the doors off a prison where prisoners have been. This is a new stage, is it not?
It definitely is. I mean, they started this a few days ago. They were already blowing up police stations. They were blowing up particularly regime locations where, the soldiers or police who repressed crowds during the Gold Revolution a couple of years ago were based. But today they're going all out. It looks like they've targeted about several dozen locations. Over 100 pieces of munitions have been dropped just in the last couple of hours on various locations in Tehran. They're focusing primarily on the capital, and it does look like they're taking this idea of they figure, I think they've got about a week left of bombing in Iran, and they're going to make this week count towards regime change as much as they can.
In terms of the tectonic plates of the Middle East, are you surprised to some degree about how impotent Iran has been? And again, nobody wants to goad them into the worst possible scenarios here. But remember, for decades, the assumption has been they are in pursuit of a singular weapon to be able to punish countries like Israel. But presumably, with that bigger population, that many people in their army, people going hungry because of the monies that have been spent on their military, that when they did start to launch any offensive towards Israel, that it would have more teeth to it. And again, to those tectonic plates of the countries next to them and those that have spoken in support of them. And again, we're only a couple of days into the next phase of this, but those tectonic plates are a little surprising in how either little they've moved or little they are, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit that I am not surprised. I've been talking about this for over 20 years now in terms of the fact that Iran is a relatively easy target. It is not a difficult target. The reality is that this is a authoritarian regime with very little real technology. I mean, look at how dumb their bombs are. They can launch simple ballistic missiles up into the atmosphere, and they land randomly in some place in Israel. They can't even target them. As compared to the precision bombing, the exactness of what Israel is doing, and Israel hasn't even used all of its capabilities. This is the difference between a theocratic, authoritarian regime and a free country where people think for themselves and produce and create and build, and a country with high tech. So no, I always thought that people exaggerated the strength of Iran. Iran has brute force. It has numbers. It has lots of missiles, but it does not have the technology to be able to win a modern war. I mean, we're seeing this to some extent in Russia, Ukraine. Russia is a lot weaker than people thought. And the reason Russia is a lot weaker is because it is, again, an authoritarian state with no real, technological innovation, with not an entrepreneurial class, without the kind of development that you need in order to build a modern, successful military. Israel has that. The United States has that. And maybe to some extent, China has that. But pretty much everybody else in the world today is pretty weak.
What do you expect out of the conversations that are being had right now by the Iranian foreign minister and Russia?
I think nothing. Russia does not have the resources. Does not want to get itself immersed in the Middle East. It does not want a conflict with Israel. Conflict with Israel will just show even more to the world how weak their weapon systems are. They still export some weapon systems, although who buys them, I don't know anymore. A lot of the oligarchs, remember, a lot of the oligarchs who surround Putin have homes in Israel. Many of them are Jewish. Many of them, have family in Israel. He does not want to be in a position where he is attacking Israel. He can attack it verbally, but he will not do anything militarily. They'll do something symbolic to help the Iranians, but I do not expect, Russia to get involved. Again, the whole exaggeration about World War III, assuming the BRICS had any real power or willingness to come to the aid of Iran, has always been ridiculous in my view. So, no, I think nothing will come of this. And this is another desperate act of the Iranian regime to somehow stay in power. They realize that the focus now is on regime change, and they're desperate to try to find somebody who will help them out.
Now, we know that you're going to be speaking in Boston in the next couple of weeks, but how do people keep an eye on what you're doing? Where do they find you on YouTube? How do people follow what you do?
Well, just put my name on YouTube. It's pretty easy, but I do have a website, Yaron Brook Show, all one word, .com. I speak all over the world on a regular basis, and hope people follow me.
They will. Thank you, mate. Good on you, Yaron. All the best. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you. Yaron Brook. Again, find him on YouTube. Lots of good and fascinating conversations there.